Hi, I'm Michael Weber, Artistic Director of Chicago's Porchlight Music Theater. On Your Toes, with music by Richard Rodgers, lyrics by Lawrence Hart, and book by Rodgers, Hart, and George Abbott, opened on Broadway April 11th, 1936, at the Imperial Theater, where it ran for 7 months, before transferring to the Majestic Theater for a total run of 315 performances. Originally conceived as a film vehicle for Fred Astaire, his refusal of the lead part because he thought that the role clashed with his debonair image developed in his contemporary films caused On Your Toes to be presented initially as a stage production. Richard Rodgers wrote, quote, "Astaire at that point in his career was a pretty chic fellow who usually wore white tie and tails, and the producers felt that there was no chance in our script for him to appear that way," unquote. As Astaire thought that the ballet background in the plot was too highbrow for his audiences, comic actor and dancer Ray Bolger was given the stage role, which allowed him to rise to stardom. Following his triumph in On Your Toes, Bolger signed his first film contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in 1936, and although The Wizard of Oz was early in his film career, he appeared in other movies of note prior to that landmark film, starting with The Great Ziegfeld in 1936, in which he portrayed himself. He also appeared in film adaptations of the Broadway shows Sweethearts, starring Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald, the first MGM film in Technicolor, and again with Nelson Eddy in Rosalie, which also starred Eleanor Powell and future Oz co-star Frank Morgan. On Your Toes is the story of Phil Jr. Dolan III, a music teacher at Knickerbocker University who tries to persuade Sergei Alexandrovitch, the director of the Russian ballet, to stage the jazz ballet Slaughter on 10th Avenue. After becoming involved with the company's prima ballerina, Vera Barnova, Jr. is forced to assume the male lead in Slaughter, and he becomes the target of two thugs hired by Vera's lover and dance partner to kill him. On Your Toes is a masterful mixing of the worlds of classical dance and musical comedy, and marked the first time a Broadway musical made both dramatic use of ballet and incorporated jazz into its score. Here on the November 17th, 1952 episode of The Railroad Hour are Gordon MacRae as Phil Jr. Dolan III, Marion Bell as Frankie Frayne, and Fritz Feld as Sergei Alexandrovitch in On Your Toes.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Railroad Hour. And here comes our star-studded show train. Tonight, the Association of American Railroads presents the memorable Rodgers and Hart musical hit, On Your Toes, starring Gordon MacRae and his lovely guest, Marion Bell. Our choir is under the direction of Norman Luboff, and our music is prepared and conducted by Carmen Dragon. Yes, tonight another great musical success is brought to you by the American Railroads, the same railroads that bring you most of the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the fuel you burn, and all the other things you use in your daily life. And now, here is our star, Gordon MacRae.
Thank you, Marvin Miller, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, sir, On Your Toes begins on the day Phil Dolan III was born, 25 years ago, in a very small hotel room in a very small town. How you feeling, Mama?
Okay, Phil. Here, have a look at your son.
Hiya, Junior. Oh, look at that old scene stealer. It's a big hand, that's what he is. I can tell right now he's going to be a headliner.
Oh, now, you stop talking vaudeville around him, Phil. I want him to be something worthwhile, like a music professor.
Honey, you're kidding. Look at him kick his feet. Why, he's a born hoofer.
Music professor?
Hoofer.
Music professor.
And so, class, we note that the early 19th century brought forth a renaissance of singing composers. Miss Frayne?
Yes, Professor Dolan?
Can you tell me what inspired Franz Schubert to write his serenade?
A beautiful girl?
No, Miss Frayne. It was a pork chop and some liverwurst. Even composers have to eat, you know. Now, I wish to point out that there is tremendous competition in the field of music in our time, too. So, here is my advice to all of you. Remember the youth mid snow and ice who bore the banner with a strange device. Excelsior! This motto applies to those who dwell in Richmond Hill or New Rochelle, in Chelsea or in Sutton You've got to reach the heights to win the race. See the pretty apple top of the tree. The higher up, the sweeter it grows. Picking fruit, you've got to be up on your toes. See the pretty penthouse top of the roof. The higher up, the higher rent goes. Get that dough, don't be a goof. Up on your toes, they climb the clouds to come through with their mail. The dancing crowds look up to some rare meal. Like that a stair mail, see the pretty lady top of the crop. If you want to know the way the wind blows, then, my boy, you'd better hop up on your toes, up on your toes. Remember what I said. And now, class dismissed.
Professor Dolan?
Yes, Miss Frayne?
Have you had a chance to look over the song I wrote?
Oh, well, yes, I have it right here.
Well,
tell me, how did you happen to write this?
Well, it was here in class. The strangest thing happens to me every time I look at you, Professor.
Yes?
I get sick.
Sick?
That's not exactly it. I can't quite diagnose how I feel. That's why I wrote this song. It's gotta be love. It couldn't be done so often. It feels like neuritis, but nevertheless it's love. Don't tell me the pickle and pie a la mode they serve me unnerved me and made my heart a broken down house. It's gotta be love. It isn't the morning after that makes every rafter go spinning around the bar. I'm sure that it's fatal, or why do I get that feeling? I think that I'm dead, but nevertheless it's only love.
Miss Frayne, this is not quite a scholarly thing to say, but, you know, I get sick in the same way when I look at you. It's gotta be love. It could have been fallen arches or too many starches, but nevertheless it's love. don't tell me the lamp in the barber shop gave me sunstroke. With one stroke, you made me feel like yesterday. It's gotta be love. It couldn't be indigestion. Beyond any question, I'm fluttery as a dog. I've heard people say it's no worse than a cold, but oh, that fever. I'm burned to a crisp, but nevertheless it's only love.
You know, that's a terrible way for a professor to feel about one of his students, Miss Frayne.
I think it's wonderful. But I wish you wouldn't call me Miss Frayne.
All right, Frankie.
Professor Dolan, may I call you Junior?
Say, why don't we meet for dinner just to try on first names for size, huh?
Fine.
Oh. We better make it after dinner in the park. I have to see somebody backstage at the ballet. I've come to see you, Miss Barnaba, because I feel that only you are a great enough dancer to perform this ballet.
Ah, you dear boy.
Well, it's called Slaughter on 10th Avenue, and it was composed by one of my students.
You are a music professor?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, dear boy, if I had known that professors are so handsome, I would have gone to school. Now, come, sit closer.
Well, this ballet is new and different and exciting. The Imperial Ballet Company could do it wonderfully.
Oh, yes, we will talk about that later. A prima ballerina needs love.
Miss Barnaba.
You may call me Vera. Now hold my hand.
Miss Barnaba, the ballet.
Oh! 5 seconds, I leave you alone, Vera, and I find you holding the hand of another man.
Professor Dolan, this is Constantine Morrison of my supporting cast.
Ah!
He makes noise like a sheep.
I resign.
All right, go ahead, resign. But do not be late for rehearsal. A very jealous man.
Golly, I read that you and Morrison are engaged.
We are engaged, we are not engaged. We love each other, we hate each other. Temperament.
Miss Barnaba, I'll leave the ballet for you to consider. And be sure to look at this passage, this love theme. Right there, he takes the girl in his arms like this, and he dances. Can't you hear it? Can't you feel it in your feet? Oh, Miss Barnaba, if I don't dance, I'll die. Could you get me a job with the ballet, just part-time, maybe as a super or something?
If you are nice to me.
Oh. Well, if you don't mind, I'll be nice to you later. I almost forgot I have a date in the park. And that's why I'm late, Frankie. I'm sorry I sort of got all involved.
Why would you want to be just a super in the Imperial Ballet?
Well, maybe I'll be leading a double life, being a professor and a dancer, too. But I've just got to.
Are you going to be seeing that Vera Barnova again?
Oh, no, honey, you shouldn't be jealous. I'll be seeing her, but I'll be thinking of you.
Is that trick done with mirrors?
You know, I know a spot you and I are going to someday, Frankie. It's a family landmark, a tiny hotel. Like dancing, it's in my blood.
Is it a spot for honeymooners?
Oh, it's perfect.
Oh, it'd be wonderful.
There's a small hotel with a wishing well. I wish that we were there together.
One room bright and neat, complete for us to share together.
Who wants people? When the steeple bell says good night, sleep well, we'll thank the small hotel together. That's how things will be someday, Frankie. Meanwhile, I've got to do what I've got to do. And if I don't see you as often as I'd like, you'll understand, won't you? Oh, everything's going to work out okay, Frankie.
Cross your fingers.
Okay. When the steeple bell says good night, sleep well, we'll thank the small hotel. And we will thank the small hotel
Hi, this is Porchlight Education Director Rebecca Singer. Thank you for listening to WPMT. If you value programming like this, consider making a donation today at porchlightmusictheater.org. We appreciate your consideration and hope you enjoy the show.
Now here is Act 2 of Rodgers and Hart's and George Abbott's On Your Toes, starring Gordon MacRae as Professor Dolan and Marion Bell as Frankie.
Oh, Frankie, thanks for waiting so late.
Oh, it's all right, Professor.
Hey, look, stars are all out.
Oh, don't ask me to look at the stars, Junior. They get me all misty-eyed. How are things at the ballet?
Oh, wonderful news. They're not only doing Slaughter on 10th Avenue, but I'm the special director for the modern steps.
Oh, that's great, Junior, but I'll bet it means a lot of rehearsing.
Mm-hmm. Day and night.
If you're looking for a misty-eyed gal who used to like to meet her fellow on a starry night, she went that way.
Oh, Frankie, come here. We'll have lots of nights, just like this one. Quiet night and all around the calm and balmy weather. Quiet night, no other sound but hearts that beat together. You can almost hear the things I'm thinking. You can almost see my heart take flight. Whisper low, but don't say no. It's such a quiet night. Quiet night, and all around the calm and balmy weather. Quiet night, no other sound but hearts that beat together. You can almost hear the things I'm thinking. You can almost see my heart take flight. Whisper low, but don't say no. It's such a quiet night.
Oh, Junior.
Hey, what time is it?
Oh, what difference does it make?
Well, I promised to meet Vera Barnova to go over tomorrow's choreography.
Oh,
It's very important. You're happy about this, aren't you, Frankie? It's a wonderful break for the ballet and for me.
sure, Junior. I'm happy.
Oh, good. Well, I'll see you in a few days. Bye, Frankie.
Bye. Sure. I'll be happy. Absolutely hysterical with laughter.
Look at yourself. If you had a sense of humor, you would laugh to beat the band. Look at yourself. Do you still believe the rumor that romance is simply grand? Since you took it right on the chin, you have lost that bright toothpaste grin. My mental state is all a jumble. I sit around and sadly mumble. Who's rushing? So here I am, very glad to be unhappy. I can't win, but here I am, more than glad to be unhappy. Unrequited love's a bore, and I've got it pretty bad. But for someone you adore, it's a pleasure to be sad, like a straying baby lamb, with no mammy and no pappy. I'm so unhappy, but oh, so glad.
No, Mr. Morrissey. This is an American rhythm.
And who are you, Mr. Amateur, to tell the great Morrissey how to dance?
You don't seem to get the rhythm. I'm afraid, Mr. Morrissey, that when it comes to syncopation, you have a tin ear.
I have the most beautiful ears in the world.
But you can't dance.
How dare you to say that? To the greatest dancer of the century. I will have you torn apart like the wolves were chewing you.
Oh, Junior, I have decided. You will be my partner. We will rehearse together for hours and hours.
For hours and hours, huh?
Doesn't that make you happy? I do not understand Americans. They are always happy and sad at the same time.
Yeah, happy and sad.
Who's rushing, so here I am, very glad to be unhappy. I can't win, but here I am, more than glad to be unhappy. Unrequited love's a bore, and I've got it pretty bad. But for someone you adore, it's a pleasure to be sad, like a straying baby lamb, with no mammy and no pappy. I'm so unhappy, but oh, so glad.
Ladies and gentlemen of the radio audience, we are speaking to you from our special broadcasting box at the Cosmopolitan Opera House, where we are about to hear the premiere performance of Slaughter on 10th Avenue. The leading roles will be danced by Vera Barnova and an unknown young male dancer whose name has not yet been announced. There's been no explanation why the great Morrissey is not dancing tonight.
Hello. Morrissey speaking. Yes, listen. At the end of the ballet, this American nobody is dancing round and round the body. When he stops dancing and collapses, that is when you shoot him. There will be big applause, and no one will know who did it. Good.
And now the conductor raises his baton, the lights dim, the curtain is going up, and we are to hear Slaughter on 10th Avenue.
Frankie, something terrible's happened. One of the stagehands overheard Morrissey phoning some gangsters to knock off Junior.
Oh, no.
Look, Frankie. Peek through the curtain. Those two thugs in the right stage box? Look at those bulges under their coats. They're going to get him. Just as he collapses. In the finale.
We've got to warn him. I'll slip on stage with a note.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the finale of the ballet as this brilliant young dancer frantically whirls round and round the body on the stage.
Keep going, Maestro. Keep on playing.
Okay, Mr. Dolan, we nabbed them. We got him.
Hit the finale. I can collapse now. Frankie. And oh, darling, never leave me again. I've got the dancing all out of my system. Now all I want to do is go to a certain spot and have a honeymoon with my gal. No ballet, no audiences, nobody else but us.
Looking through the window, you can see a distant steeple.
Not a sign of people.
People, when the steeple bell says good night, sleep well, we'll thank the snow hotel. We'll creep into our little shell, and we will thank the small hotel. Together.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely Marion Bell will be back for a curtain call in just a moment. And meanwhile, our thanks to Fritz Feld, Isabel Jewell, Lee Q, Peter Leeds, Sidney Miller, Elvina Temple, and to our entire company. On Your Toes, with book by Rogers and Hart and George Abbott, and music and lyrics by Richard Rogers and Lorenz Hart, was dramatized for the Railroad Hour by Lawrence and Lee. The Railroad Hour is brought to you each week at the same time by the American Railroads.
The other day I heard it said that travel by air is now safer than travel by railroad. Is that correct?
No, indeed. It is true that in the 12 months ending in September, the domestic scheduled airlines had their best safety record. But in the same 12 months, the railroad safety record was 3 times as good.
Well, that's just for a particular 12 months. What about the record over the years?
Official reports to the Interstate Commerce Commission and the Civil Aeronautics Board show that in every year for which comparative figures are available, rail travel has been from 2 to 20 times safer than travel by domestic scheduled airlines.
Thank you, Marvin. Now here again is our charming guest, Marion Bell.
Thank you, Gordon. Can I get off my toes now?
Well, the ballet's over, Marion, and you were wonderful.
Oh, who's tripping the light fantastic with you next week, Gordon?
Well, Mimi Benzel will be our guest, Marion, and we're going to sing the rousing and unforgettable Vagabond King.
We'll all be listening. Good night, Gordon.
Good night, Marion, and come back real soon.
All aboard!
Well, dear friends, it looks as though we're ready to pull out. And so until next Monday night and the Vagabond King, this is Gordon MacRae saying goodbye.
Gordon MacRae appeared through the courtesy of Warner Brothers, producers of The Miracle of Fatima. Our choir was under the direction of Norman Luboff, and our music was prepared and conducted by Carmen Dragon. Until next week, this is Marvin Miller saying goodnight for the American Railroads. Now stay tuned for your Monday night of music on NBC.
Marion Bell, who played Frankie Frayne in this Railroad Hour adaptation, began her career on local radio at the age of 8, then studied opera in Rome before the start of World War II. After signing with MGM at age 15, she toured with the Marx Brothers in their vaudeville show and had a small, uncredited role in their 1935 film A Night at the Opera. In the famous stateroom scene, she pushes through the crowd asking Groucho,
"Well, you can come in and prowl around if you want to. If she isn't in here, you can probably find somebody just as good."
Well, could I use your phone?
Use the phone. I'll lay even money you can't get in the room.
Her MGM contract delayed her Broadway debut by preventing her from accepting a role in the new Lerner and Loewe musical The Day Before Spring in 1945. But in 1947, she got another audition for Lerner and Loewe, winning not only the lead role of Fiona McLaren in Brigadoon, but also winning the hand of librettist Alan J. Lerner, becoming the second of his 8 wives. Fritz Feld, who played Sergei Alexandrovitch in this radio production, was a German-American film character actor who appeared in over 140 films in 72 years, both silent and sound. His trademark was to slap his mouth with the palm of his hand to create a pop sound. On Your Toes was twice revived on Broadway. First, in 1954, once more directed by George Abbott and choreographed by George Balanchine. Then again in 1983, directed by George Abbott at 96 years old. Once again, the show was a hit, running 505 performances and winning the Tony Award as Best Revival. In 1939, Warner Brothers filmed On Your Toes, starring ballerina Vera Zorina as Vera Barnova, Eddie Albert as Phil Jr. Dolan III, and Alan Hale as Sergei Alexandrovitch, with Frank McHugh, James Gleason, Eric Rhodes, and young Donald O'Connor. Although some of the songs from the Broadway score were used as background music, the film does not have any singing in it. Fortunately, Slaughter on 10th Avenue, as choreographed by George Balanchine, does appear at the end of the film in this, one of the 8 films for which he created dances. Theaters across the country need your support now, more than ever. We hope you'll consider a donation to Porchlight Music Theater today. Just go to porchlightmusictheater.org. Until next time on Classic Musicals from the Golden Age of Radio, I'm Michael Weber.